A series of volunteer firefighters. Yesterday, we met a 17-year-old looking to become one of those volunteers.
Tonight, it's Trial by Fire. We'll take a look at what kind of training a volunteer goes through to become one.
Fire vents out and comes back around over my head.
Joe Battolini can't wait to get to his firefighter training on Mondays.
You're going to run out of hose.
Our airbags.
Endwell Fire Chief John Ruck was about the same age as Joe when he first became a firefighter some time ago.
It was pretty simple back then. Now it's more standards for the people, more education, more training. It's a lot different than it was 40 years ago.
But one thing that hasn't changed, the enthusiasm that drives people to volunteer.
And then it sounded interesting and a thrill, and he decided to join.
But over the years, some things have changed, like the training it takes to become a firefighter.
Get down flat.
What took several weeks to become one now takes several months with longer, harder, and more thorough training sessions.
Hose line training. We want speed to get the hose, the pre-connect lines off the engines to the fire. How to place a ladder, burn training. You want a smoke-filled environment with the air packs, which is air pack training.
Another thing that's changed over the years, it's not just guys taking the field anymore.
All right, click it open one more.
Women on scene.
And shut it down slow.
So now it's my turn.
Where are you?
Could I fight fires with the fearless?
Keep walking towards me.
Well, that's interesting. Now, so you're going to try to become a volunteer firefighter.
Well, yeah, I'm going to go through some of the training that they go through, see what it's like, and from what I went through, let me tell you, this stuff is amazing what these people go through.
And does your training involve rushing into burning buildings and buildings that I'd be rushing out of?
Well, they do put me through a simulator to see how hot it gets, and I see the backdraft, and it's amazing. I don't know how these people don't crack under the pressure, because it's truly a craft that they
And we're
love.
going to see it tomorrow night.
Yes, tomorrow night.
Raquel trying to make the grade. We'll see ahead on Fox 40 News first at 10. A series on volunteer firefighters. Yesterday, we took a look at what it takes to become one.
And tonight, I try my hand at the training. Did I have what it takes? Did I have what it takes to join the next fleet of firefighters?
Beautiful. All right, let's try this one.
If I wanted to try, I had to at least find gear that fit. I'm not even going to zipper this.
That's not going to do it. All right. Let's try this. It's a little smaller. Let's try this
But
one.
that was difficult. Standing 5 feet 3 inches tall, I'm not your typical firefighter.
That's not doing it either. All right, we'll try this one.
But with the right jacket,
That'll do better.
boots,
And then we'll use these
and pants,
pants and boots right here for you.
I was good to go. My first lesson,
You want to make sure that you have water before you
putting
go
out
inside.
a fire.
Spin
My
that
first
close.
tasks, hook up a hydrant, or hit it as they call it, and
All right, click it open one more. A little
work
up,
a hose line.
and shut it down slow.
But getting to the fire is equally important as putting one
Shut it
out.
down.
I wasn't used to driving a vehicle more than quadruple the size of any car I've driven before.
Got up 3 cones. I want you to swerve in and through them.
I may have squeezed through the cones by just a hair's breadth, but at least it was enough to get the approval of my instructor. But if I could get to the fire and put one out, the next
good.
task was exiting, but not through any front door. My next task, rappel out of a 5-story window.
Okay. Oh, yes, Johnny.
So, I tried.
You ready a bit?
Can you fix that harness on the way down? A little slack on the blade, please. Step back, lean back.
There you go. Stretch your legs out. Let your knees breathe. There you go. You're fine. You're good.
I may have been able to save myself, but what about saving someone else?
Pull them out of the building.
Tomorrow we'll show you how firefighters depend on their sense of touch when blinded by smoke and flames.
You're the adventurous type, aren't you?
You know, I had so much fun doing that training, but I don't know how these people do it in the real life situation. I mean, I just got a sample of it, and
Like
boy,
that.
was it tough.
Like that little scream at the end. So tomorrow you're actually going to go through flames, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be experiencing 500-degree temperatures. I mean, really intense when you're wearing all this gear. You had 500-degree temperatures plus keep all the body heat with that equipment, and it's quite intense, actually.
Can't wait to see that. That's tomorrow night for the next part of Raquel the Adventurer. Okay.
I had a life-saving medical device will now be available to Youth Baseball League.
And if you're going to present the Barber of Seville, is about volunteer firefighters and the care and the skills that young recruits are getting these days.
Yesterday, I tried my hand at some of the training, but tonight, it's trial by fire. Can I stand the heat? Training to become a firefighter is tough, and I only had to endure a small sample of what that training involves. Looking the part, that's the easy stuff.
There you go. You're fine.
Fulfilling the task is harder.
You're really looking for somebody there when you're doing
Much
all that
harder,
stuff.
as I was about to learn.
This is the thing that's going to keep you alive in a burning building.
In addition to this independent air supply, I was told of the importance of another tool that was literally at my fingertips. My sense of touch. A crucial survival skill when smoke and flames obscure sight. So,
The left-hand search to come all the way out.
training director Mike Kopcho put me through this maze with a special adjustment.
Make sure that you can't cheat with all the lights and all the other stuff. You're just going to put your hood on backwards.
Going through the maze with my hood on backwards is to remind trainees how they won't be able to depend on their eyesight when engulfed by smoke and flames. So, how did I find an exit? I found myself feeling along the wall for a way out. Not exactly easy, blind and carrying more than 50 pounds of gear on my back.
Come on, look, let's go!
30 minutes later,
Beautiful. That was absolutely impressive.
I emerged, but not without countless bump after bump after bump into walls I could only feel but not see. The next challenge came courtesy of the Binghamton Fire Department, which makes this fire simulator available to volunteer departments.
You ready? Okay.
The simulator produces temperatures of more than 500 degrees, along with a powerful backdraft that can add to the difficulty of entering a burning structure. Unlike the real thing, this fire can instantly be extinguished with the flick of a switch. And unlike the real thing, we were able to walk out unharmed and untouched by one of the most destructive forces of nature. But as we all know, it doesn't always turn out that way for the men and women who, in a very real way, put their lives on the line every time they rush to duty.
Whoa. Takes some gumption to run into burning buildings like that, like you did.
Well, you know, this training that they go through, it's amazing how these men and women apply their training skills to the real thing, because it's intense.
You know, it makes you kind of wonder, where would we be with our personal safety without having the replenishment of the ranks of the firefighters all the time?
You know, it's really scary to think about. You're right. What would happen if we didn't have firefighters at all?
And volunteers,
And
no less,
volunteers,
yeah.
nonetheless. And I actually met a department who was struggling to get more volunteers to apply. And actually, they turned to MySpace, believe it or not, and they actually boosted their numbers that way. I'll have that report on Sunday at 10 with Mike Whittemore.
Clever getting the young people through MySpace. Yeah.
Interesting,
Good
right?
technique. Okay. Looking forward to that part. And ahead on Fox 40 News, first at 10.
Tonight, the last reports on our volunteer firefighters. Last week, we showed you the training it took to become one, and tonight we explore the question of what would happen if we didn't have any more firefighters at all. Fox 40 anchor Raquel Asa shows us how the town of Maine picked up their volunteer numbers by using MySpace.
For the Endwell Fire Department, young teens like Joe Battolini represent the next generation of firefighters. And because there are so many people like Joe in that community, Endwell has no problem keeping the ranks filled. But that's not the case in the neighboring town of Maine.
Maine tends to be an older community. There's not a lot of younger families moving in with, let's say, 16 on up people in the family, and that hurts us. We just don't have that large a pool to draw from.
So the department has turned to the internet, using sites like MySpace and creating its own website to attract the younger crowd. Kyle Pomeroy was one of the site's creators.
The internet really gives us a way to get out there to people who just go online all the time, like the younger generation, and really see what we're all about.
Website co-creator Lance Egan feels that although the web might in some ways be less personal, its easy access and creative design draws the attention of a generation used to electronic communications.
It's one thing to go walk up to your buddy and say, this is what we do, we meet Tuesday nights. It's X amount of calls a week, you like put this kind of time in, but it's another thing to just point to a website where they can find everything.
And since they launched their cyber recruitment campaign 6 months ago, enrollments have increased significantly, with youthful idealism and enthusiasm weighted by an opportunity to serve the community.
They think it's more of a closed society. There's less members, less people really know about it, less people really see us going down the road, you know, to calls and stuff like that. So the internet really gives us a way to get out there to people.
A formula for personal involvement that benefits everyone. Reporting from the town of Maine, Raquel Asa, Fox 40 News, First at 10.